When you're ready, come down to lie on your back. Draw your knees in towards your belly and give them a little squeeze. Take some circles with your feet, rolling them around one way and then rolling them around the other way. We're going to take a little bit of time down here on our back, just getting some movement through the body, and then we'll take a little bit of time to get grounded into our practice. So to start, just encouraging some gentle movements. I always love the way that when I'm moving my feet like this energy kind of rushes up my body, and it feels like almost a challenging movement, which is really interesting because it's such a small movement, right? But our feet don't often get this kind of action. I want you to hug your left knee in towards you now, and I want you to see if you can glide your right leg up high. If you've got a wall, you might want to rest on the wall and set yourself up like that for these initial poses, where it might feel good just to reach your hand around the back of your right leg. And I'm just going to give my right leg a little bit of a rub. You might want to do that, or your leg might feel a little too far away, just whatever you want, right? But we're just encouraging a little stretch down the back of the right leg. Now you might be able to take hold of your toe, or you might be able to take hold of the back of the knee or a little further up the thigh. Noticing the length down the back of your leg. Noticing any tension, any limitation, right? Where are you feeling that tension? Is it quite high up in the thigh? Is it more towards the back of the knee and the calf? As you draw your toes down towards you, do you feel it a little stronger in your Achilles? Just noticing where your areas of tension rest. And then we're going to take both hands around that left knee. We're going to slowly lower that right leg just to hover off the ground. Not all the way down, just taking it to hover off the ground. And from here, notice your breath. And as you exhale, can you squeeze your belly button a little closer to your spine, minimizing the curve of your low back. Let's take that really powerful breath again, inhaling deeply through the nose. And then as you exhale, really fully through the nose, feeling that drawing down of your belly button towards your spine, that minimizing of your low back. And maybe you've got time to just take one more of those breaths as well. Now from here, we're going to slowly glide that right leg back up again. Place your left solar foot down on the floor. Bring that right ankle on top of your left thigh. And just enjoy a little stretch down into your right hip. Right, flex your foot. And it might be that you can wrap your hands around your left thigh and draw that thigh a little closer to you. It might be that that's a little too strong just yet. And again, noticing your breath. In this pose, is there a little tendency to rock over into your right hand side, and we create an even pressure down through the back of the body towards the floor. In our practice today, really aware of your connection to the ground, aware of the alignment of your body back up from the floor. And starting that here as you're lying down on your back. Again, we're going to extend that right leg towards the ceiling, take a couple of little circles with our foot, pop the sole of your right foot down on the ground and extend your left leg towards the ceiling. Your leg might be a little further away, that's okay, just noticing. Now hands down the back of your leg to support you, and it might feel good just to give your leg a little bit of a rub. A little bit of a squeeze, but if your leg's a little too far away, then don't worry, you don't have to be taking this, right? You can just be holding your leg, enjoying a stretch down the back of your left leg. Now, where is that space? Where is the tension? Is there a little bit of tension down through the back of your knee, through your calf, through your Achilles? Where can you find that tension? Because probably there is a little tension there, right? You know, our legs do hold that tension, and they hold that tension so that we can remain balanced and strong. If there was no tension in our bodies, we would find it really difficult to stand. So don't berate that tension. It's all good. And then we're going to hug that right knee in towards the body. We're going to give it a nice little squeeze. And we're going to slowly lower that left leg down towards the floor. Yeah, that's it, lowering it down to hover. And then we're just noticing the breath, probably about 3 really full breaths we're going to take, but it'll depend on the length. So it's all good. We're going to inhale deeply through the nose. And then as you exhale, just drawing your belly button a little closer towards your spine. And it's not a sucking in, it's more of a contraction of muscles around your belly. And then as you inhale, maybe that eases a little as you fill up your lungs, as you fill up the spaces. And as you exhale, there's that squeezing again. And perhaps you can feel your low back connecting a little more towards the ground. One more breath here. Really full through the inhale. And really deep with that exhale. And then slowly gliding that left leg back towards the ceiling. Let's pop the sole of the right foot down on the ground. Left ankle on top of the right thigh. Let that left knee fall out to the side a little. Find your connection to the floor. Still grounded evenly down into the pelvis. Check that out, because sometimes with a lifted leg like this, the angle changes a little. We've got that lever of belly pulling us in different directions. Now you might feel like with your left foot nice and flexed, your right foot flexed, that you can draw that right thigh towards you and take a little more of a stretch through your left hip. So just noticing. Yeah, have you got that little stretch, or does it feel better with your foot back down on the floor? Let's stay here for another breath. How's that connection of your head to the ground? Are you aware of that connection of your head between your shoulder blades, running down the length of your spine? See if we can bring it even. Wonderful. Now from here, we're going to hug those knees back towards us again, and we're going to take circles with our knees. Now I'm rolling my knees in opposite direction. They're rolling away from each other and then back towards each other. But if you want to, you can just roll your knees in circles, moving in the same direction that foot as well. Whatever resonates best with you today. Whatever feels like the best option for your hips, for your body. Let's roll our knees around the other way. Yeah, because even rolling your knees in opposite direction, there are 2 different ways that they can circle, right? And as you generate that movement through the joints, maybe you can feel a nice kind of tingling sensation start to move down the legs. And let's bring that movement a little bit higher up now. We're going to bring it to the spine. Extend your left leg down along the floor. Let it release all the way down to the ground now. Now you can have your knee a little bent if you want to. We're going to bring our left hand to the outside of our right thigh. Right hand just rests down beside us. And just have a play around with drawing that right leg across the body. I like to support my knee on my hand so that I'm not really pulling into my spine too much. It's more of an exploration of an angle through the hip, through the waist. And not here for too long in this stretch. Let's come back to center. Draw the left knee up towards the right. Extend that right leg out long. Just let that left hand soften down beside you. Right hand to the outside of the knee. And again, just seeing if you can draw that across a little, but you might want to balance it on the hand. I always like that. And then I like to take some gentle motions with that knee, just to feel into the hips, feel into the waist, feel into that gentle rotation through the spine. Just deepening your awareness of your body, that the awareness of the sensations of what feels good and what doesn't, so that you can modify. Let's bring those knees back to center. Now you have a choice. Do you want to roll over onto your side and come up to seated, or do you want to play with me in a little rock? And it's just a playful little rock, okay? We're going to see if we can rock up to seated. And then maybe you can roll that down. Let's not let that roll come any further than the shoulder blade. You can rock back up. And then maybe you can roll that down. We're just playing, we're just exploring. So it's not compulsory. Yeah, if it doesn't feel okay. And then let's come up to seated. Let's come to seated cross-legged. And in our seated cross-legged pose, we'll play around again with the waist. We're going to inhale, sweep our hands towards the ceiling, towards the sky. And then exhale, bringing your left hand across to the outside of your right thigh. Right hand touches down beside you. Open across the shoulders. Or feel that lovely space across your shoulders and that really nice squeezing that happens through your waist. Can you create that squeezing through the waist a little more? Now play around with the rock of your pelvis. Roll it back a little and then rock it forwards. Yeah, can we find ourselves right on the sit bones? Yielding down towards the floor, but also rising up lightly. Wonderful. And then let's sweep those hands back towards the ceiling. Before we come to the other side, let's connect them. Make a little basket with your hands, turn it inside out and take a reach, take a stretch. Really nice stretch down through your elbows. Yeah. I always like to take a little wiggle here. You don't even have to. I just find that that really kind of releases through my body and feels good. You know, I'm all about feeling good. We're going to bring that right hand across now to the outside of the left side. Left hand touches lightly down beside or behind you. Just reach open across the shoulders. Yes, I find some joy in these movements. Find some pleasure in these movements. Even when you're in challenging poses, right? Even when something feels quite hard, you can still find that joy, that pleasure in your poses. So we're going to try that today as well. That doesn't mean you don't notice when it hurts. We need to know that because then we can come away from it. But I want you to also notice that things feel good. This pose feels nice, right? Let's come back to center. Just let everything kind of settle. And then very slowly we're going to fold forwards over our cross legs. We're going to creep those hands forwards and we're going to enjoy a little stretch through the hip. And by noticing what's happening in your body, you notice certain changes, you notice what's going on for you. I always used to feel any pose like this, mostly in my left hip. Yeah, no matter what side I took, it was the left hip that I felt most of the stretch in, just because that was the side that I had more solidness. Whereas now there's much more of an evenness. I feel it through my right hip as well because my left hip has started to soften and give in to the poses. Let's come back up to seated. Change the cross of your legs. Reach those hands up towards the ceiling. Take a lovely big stretch. Spread those fingers. Let's clench and unclench our hands. Yeah. Let's feel the power here. And then we're going to take hold of one wrist in the hand. And we're just going to take a little lean over to the side. Not far. You'll notice that my hips are still deeply connected to the floor. I'm trying not to rock all of my weight onto my left sit bone. Yeah. And then lift your gaze towards that right arm. If you're leaning the same way as me, otherwise lift your gaze towards your left arm. And let's come back to center. Let's spread those fingers again. We're going to glide those hands down towards the floor, taking that lovely big sunshine pose, feeling a stretch to the inside of the elbows, and then we're going to sweep it back up again. We're going to take hold of the other wrist in the hand, and then I'm taking hold of that left wrist now. We're going to take the little lean to the side, feeling that delightful stretch across the body. Remember, we're finding those places to connect with what feels good, those spaces of joy, of pleasure. Yeah. And then maybe lift your gaze towards your arm. Yeah, so for me, I'm lifting it towards my left side because I'm reaching towards my right side. And for you, it might be a little different. Let's come back to center. Again, we're going to sweep our hands out like sunshine arms, reaching them out nice and wide all the way down. Find yourself at the center and then keep reaching. Find that space along the arms. Wonderful. Let's take a little fold forwards over the legs on this side. And so just noticing, are you having that experience of mostly feeling it through one hip? Right, just being aware, having that perception, because it's interesting, finding that interest. And that feeling of stretch, sometimes it can feel really strong, right? But there can also be a whole lot of pleasure we feel in it. Isn't that what makes our asanas, our yoga, physical poses of yoga feel so good? What keeps us coming back to our mat, one of the things that keeps us coming back to the mat is there is so much that feels nice about it. It's good to find when you find something good for you that feels really great. Let's come back up. We're going to come on over to hands and knees. And from hands and knees, we're going to play around with some stretches through the front of the body. Yeah, so some of our poses are going to take us into little back bends. And in back bends, we all have our natural range of movement through our spine. We don't want to go pushing too far past that. So we're going to inhale, lift our gaze, lift our tail. And then exhale and coil everything under into a little cat. That's it. Let's link this with the breath. So inhale, coming into cow pose. That's it. And exhale, coiling into cat. And we're going to change this up a little. We're going to inhale and we're going to come into just a straight hands and knees pose. And then we're going to exhale and reach our left hand and our right leg. Now let's inhale, hand just glides over the small of the back, right knee bends, gaze lifts. And we're staying here for a couple of breaths. So we're exploring this back bend in both the inhale and the exhale. Yeah, and it might be that you want to reach your left hand around and take hold of your right foot, but only if we've got a little space. If you find that you do that and feel like you're all tied up in knots, then just come back a step. And then let's lower that hand and knee back down to the ground. We're going to take little circles with our hips. What did you notice about that pose? Did you notice that there's a really wonderful stretch that happens through the front of the right leg, right through that muscle of the psoas, through the front of the thigh, maybe even working its way up through the side of your belly? Or were you mainly focused on how it felt through your back? Let's roll the hips the other way. Because either is fine, we're just noticing, and maybe you can notice a little more as we come through the other side, finding stillness. We're going to inhale and lift to cow, and exhale and coil under to cat. We're going to take that movement again. Inhale, coming all the way up into our cow. Exhale, coiling into your cat, and then from here we inhale, we come to hands and knees. We exhale, reaching our right hand and our left leg. And then let's inhale that right hand across the small of the back, left knee bends and coil up into a little back bend. Right, so already you're finding this little back bend, but maybe you feel like you've got a little more room to move and you want to take hold of that left foot. Maybe lift that knee a little higher, explore this back bend a little more completely. But just noticing that there's also this really lovely stretch occurring through the front of your left leg. You're really aware of those sensations in your body. Because often they feel good, even though they're challenging, they feel good. It feels good to lengthen and make space. And then when you're ready, hand and knee, come back down to the floor. We're going to tuck our toes and come straight back into downward facing dog. Yeah, and downward facing dog is just a very mild counter to that pose, right? Because we're not really taking a coiled forward fold through the spine. Instead, we're taking this lovely strong inversion. So pressing down into the hands, finding that connection down into the soles of the feet, and now soften your knees and feel that pressure down into the hands a little more. Now let's start to straighten our knees just as much as feels okay and draw heels down towards the ground. What feels better for you? Bend those knees again, press down into the hands, press them back. Yeah. Straighten those knees, feeling that weight down evenly into the body. And then find a little bit in between, find a position that means that you have that deep connection down into your hands, as well as the balls of your feet. Find the position that allows you to keep those wonderful natural curves of your spine. And from here, we're going to just release through our necks. We're going to turn our gaze from one arm to the other, just lightly. And then from here, step your left foot forwards between your hands. Get that right knee down onto the ground if you need to. You can only do what you can do, right? Because we're going to lower that right knee down to the floor anyway. So it's okay if you come through hands and knees always. Bring your elbows to rest on top of your left thigh. We're finding space along through that right side again, through the front of the right leg. So really feeling that space. And that space is created not by hanging down between the hips, but rather from extending out nice and long, by feeling the pressure down into your left foot and down into that right knee. Then you rise a little higher through your upper body. Just see if that feels okay. And then maybe you can even reach your hands. Maybe you can start to move this towards a little back bend. No, but your left knee stays grounded over your left ankle. And you maintain that really powerful connection down into the right leg. Now my right toes are tucked under just because that helps me deepen that connection to the ground. And then hands down towards the floor, step that left foot back to the right and come back into your downward facing dog. That's it. Just taking a little pump through your heels, a little extension down through the back of the legs. Do the sides of the body feel similar, or are they feeling a little different? Does one side feel a little heavier? Remember, you can come through hands and knees for this movement. We're going to step our right foot forwards now between the hands. And we're going to lower that left knee down to the ground. We're going to climb our elbows up onto the left thigh. And we're just going to explore how we can deepen the stretch through the left side without that sense of collapse. So that's with a pressure down into the feet. Right, almost lifting the rib cage away from your left hip. And that action of extension rather than collapse. But then find your feet down towards the floor, your right foot down, your left knee, your left foot. Wonderful. Maybe you've got the space to rise a little higher. Maybe you've got the space to reach those hands and take this towards a little back bend. Yeah, and I know that I use the word maybe a lot, but it's just to stop you pushing into something that's not working for you. Now, there is some challenge in this pose. There are some muscles that are working hard to press down towards the floor, but there is also something pleasant that we can find. Right? There's a place of joy we can find. A point in the body that feels quite good with this exertion. And then hands back down to the floor. We're going to step that right foot back again so that we come once again to our downward facing dog. How is the body now? Is it feeling a little more even? Walk out those heels. And then we're going to take this movement of 3. We're going to lower our knees to hover off the ground. We're going to lift them and press them back. Yeah, let's link that with the breath. So one phase of breath, allowing your knees to hover off the ground. Press down into your hands and then press those legs back into downward facing dog. One more time with a phase of breath, allowing knees to hover off the ground. Pressing down into your hands, and with the next phase of breath, pressing back into downward facing dog. We're going to rock our weight forwards into our hands, bring our gaze between our hands, strong through your arms. And then step your feet forward so that you're a forward fold at the front of your mat. Yeah, belly connects with the thighs. Let's really let ourselves descend, release, relax the back of your head, the back of your neck. Feel that beautiful stretch between your shoulder blades. Yeah, wonderful. And then we're going to move through our pulsing motion. The pulsing motion is going to be connected with our pressure down into the floor. Okay, so in the inhale, we deepen that connection to the ground and it allows us to rise up a little. And then as we exhale, we again deepen that connection as we soften down over. It's a little movement, right? As we inhale, we lightly rise, pressing down into the soles of the feet. And as we exhale, we deepen into forward fold, still with that really strong connection. As we inhale, we lightly rise, pressing down into the soles of the feet. And then as we exhale, we soften back down and ease that pressure. One more time. And then all the way up to halfway lift. There's that connection down into the soles of the feet. Have you still got that really even grounding? Let's find that length out along the spine. Does that mean you need to press your hands down into your thighs? Yeah, just being cautious of hurting our knees. Draw those shoulders back a little. Stay here for another breath. We're going to come to awkward chair from this pose. And we're going to do it on an inhale. So when you're ready on the inhale, gliding those hands up, bending those knees, coming into your awkward chair. That's it. We're going to stay here for a couple of minutes. Now, if it's too hard to have your arms lifted, remember you can always have your hands in front of your heart space in prayer. And then rising up to stand, your hands draw down, hands into prayer in front of your heart space. Can you rock your weight into your left foot and slowly glide your right leg up behind you into warrior three. Now, just as we played around with that extending of the front of the hip and those other poses, we were also playing around with a contraction through the back of the leg, and we're really exploring that now. So contracting the back of your right leg, engaging your glute, the lower thigh, upper thigh. And then we're going to take a little swing. We're going to swing that right knee towards our belly, rise up to stand, take hold of that knee, give it a squeeze. How's that connection down into your left foot going? You're still nice and grounded. Can you find the floor underneath you? Now either take hold of the back of your right knee or reach down and take hold of your right big toe. Either's fine. Yeah? Maintain that yielding, strong connection to the ground through your left foot. And maybe you can start to extend a little, right? Extending that right leg out. Doesn't need to straighten out. It might stay quite bent, that might be a movement. You might just keep hold of the back of your right knee and just keep it as it is, staying in a balance. Now there's this natural bending that wants to happen through your left leg. See if you can really extend and lengthen. Notice the muscles that switch on as you do. Again, we're going to take a little swing. We're going to swing that right leg back behind us and we're going to step it down into lunge. And then we're going to take a little pulsing movement of three. Hands in front of your heart space in prayer. Lower your right knee to hover off the ground. That's it. And then lift that right knee back up again. Press that heel back behind you. Feel that wonderful stretch through the right front of the body. Lower that right knee to hover off the ground. And then press that leg back behind you again, feeling that wonderful stretch. One more time, we're going to lower that knee to hover off the ground. And then we press that knee back, that leg back behind us, and we're going to step forward so that once again we're standing at the front of our mat. Soften your hands down beside you. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, because that movement requires me to really engage down into my left leg, the step forwards through my right foot is really supportive. I don't often lose my balance in that movement. Whereas when I haven't taken the lowering down, I do sometimes lose my balance. So just checking in with that. Let's notice our breath. It's okay if you feel a little breathless. Our yoga is that exercise of the nervous system. We are taking movements that really heighten the nervous system. And then we're moving through poses that lower that release, that creates some relaxation, stimulating and then relaxing our nervous system. Now a little practice so that we can then put that into our daily life. But from here, we're going to rock our weight over into our right foot. And we're going to come out into our warrior three with that left leg reaching back behind you. Now, my warrior three often has my hands in prayer in front of my heart space, but if you want to extend your legs out long, you are, of course, most welcome. Now, even though we've got that pressure down into our right foot, the spreading through our right toes, we've also got a squeezing lift through the left leg. Can you feel that? Can you feel your glute really powerful and engaged? Your thigh working really hard, particularly the back of your thigh. But still, we're exploring a little stretch down the front of our left leg. Are you ready for our little swing forwards? We're going to swing that left knee forwards and we're going to hug it towards our body. Now, it's all good if you need to touch those left toes down. Right? It's okay if you need to catch your balance. It's okay. From here, you might want to reach that left hand behind the back of your left knee and then, oh, maybe you can reach out and touch a wall. Yeah, or maybe you can have that hand down beside you. But it might be that you can reach down and take hold of the toe and pistol grip. And then from there, maybe you can start to extend. I always draw my shoulder back a little, making sure that I'm still strong into my shoulder, and then I notice that natural tendency to really bend through my right leg. And so I'm going to find a little length, a little straightness. And in that, exploring the parts of your body where there is tension. And then we're going to swing again. We're going to swing that left leg back behind us and step back into our lunge. It doesn't need to be too long a lunge. You just play around with what feels best for you. And we're moving through that movement of 3. Yeah, lowering the left knee down towards the floor, hovering it. And then my favourite part, reaching that left leg back and pressing that heel away to explore this lovely stretch down the left-hand side. Lowering that left knee to hover off the ground. And then finding that wonderful extension down through the left-hand side. One more time. I'm going to lower that left knee to hover off the ground. And then we're going to press that left leg back behind us to find that wonderful extension. And then step that left foot forwards. Gosh, I always feel so grounded in that movement. Grounding down through the soles of your feet and notice. Now, I know that for me, that really lifted my energy to the extent that I feel a little breathless. And so our next movements are going to really support that softening down into the breath. We start that, interestingly, by connecting down into the soles of the feet. By finding that pressure down through all of your toes, through the ball of your feet, and then through your heels. And how can you press a little more strongly down towards the floor? Feel this softness come over your body, this release down towards the earth that allows less effort when you're stacking your bones and aligning your body from your feet. Maybe it does feel good to sway around the feet a little just to really find that connection. Maybe to find that you need to soften the knees a little more. To change the angle of your pelvis, right? So that it's a bowl of water, then it's holding that water without spilling it out the front or tipping it out the back. Trying to imagine where the crown of the head is in relation to the tail. Right, and maybe your breath has slowed down a little already. Maybe not. We're going to keep moving through this. Inhale, just glide your hands towards the ceiling, but keep them soft. Exhale, swan dive forward, so we're folding at the hips as we soften. Nothing too fiery, softening down into forward fold. Then from forward fold, come down onto your knees. And if you know kneeling's not for you, then maybe roll up a blanket and sit it underneath your sit bones, right? So that it's acting as a bolster. But if it still doesn't work for you, then just come down to seated. It's all good. If you are taking this kneeling pose with me, know that we're building fire up a little bit again. Our kneeling poses are quite strong, solid poses. My feet are tucked under, my toes are tucked under in this pose, just exploring a little stretch through my toes. That might not work for you. So if you need to, if you're in seated pose, then just maybe give your toes a little squeeze and release. Now from here, on your inhale, rise up, sweep your hands towards the ceiling. Lift your gaze. Already you're in a little back bend here. We're going to bring our hands behind us. It's okay if you're in seated, just enjoy a little leg stretch. Roll your shoulders back, lift your gaze a little higher, strong through the glutes. Can you contract those glutes a little more, really strong? And it's the strength of those glutes, of your low body, this portion here, that is allowing you to stretch the front. And then coming back down into kneeling, untucking your toes and sitting down. Now from this kneeling position, we're going to come down into child's pose. I have a bit of space on my mat in front of me so that I can. You might want to shuffle back, or you might be quite happy to rest your head wherever you are. So very slowly creeping those hands down. In this child's pose, my knees are quite close together, but you can have more space between your knees than that. We're just going to keep creeping forwards into this forward fold and soften our forehead towards the floor. As you soften your forehead towards the floor, if you need to have it stacked, with your fists stacked up underneath your forehead to support you, then do. We're going to rock our head over to one side as though we're looking towards the opposite elbow, and then we're going to rock it the other way. We're going to rock it over to one side, taking a look towards the opposite elbow, and then rock it the other way. And then coming back to center, let's lay down hands down beside our rib cage so we can press down into the floor and rise up again. And from this position, we're going to roll on over so that we're seated, and we're going to extend our legs out in front of us. Now, so if you're in the seated pose all along, look at that with George's. From this seated pose, we're going to explore a little forward fold here. So just noticing your sit bones as they're grounded down towards the floor. Extend your crown up and away from your tail. Find that length along your spine, and then maybe you've got the space to start to fold forwards over your legs. Sitting on a blanket can be really helpful here. Just lets you have gravity assist you in that fold, but it also just minimizes that angle, right? So that you've got a little bit more room to work with. I'm just staying here for a couple more breaths, just encouraging that energy to just settle. And then slowly rising up to seated. We're going to make our way down to the floor. So roll over onto your side, come on down to your back, just like when we started. But bend your knees and pop the soles of your feet down onto the floor. And from here, just settling into notice. Rest your hands just to the inside of your hips, so just down on your very low belly. And then as you exhale, let your belly button draw down towards your spine. Notice that underneath your fingers, everything's become a little bit contracted, a little tight. And that's the toning of your pelvic floor, of your low belly muscles. And as you inhale, that kind of softens. Right, there's a little more give underneath your fingers. As you exhale again, squeezing down through the muscles, feeling the belly button draw down towards the floor. Down towards the spine. And then as you inhale, there's that little expansion. And again, exhale, feel that squeezing. It feels okay, then maybe you want to apply a little bit of pressure with your fingers, with your hands. Massage out through your low belly, through your reproductive system. And again, as you inhale, feel that floating, that rising up. I'm going to take that one more time. As you exhale, everything kind of squeezes down, and you can put a little bit of pressure through your hands, squeezing and pressing on your reproductive system. Obviously not going to feel okay if you've got a full bladder, right? So don't do it then. Let's just soften away now. Soles of your feet down on the floor. You might notice that my feet are quite close to my body. Yeah. I mean, this is all my body, so my feet are always close to my body. My feet are quite close to my sit bones, to my hips, to my bottom. I'm going to press down into the soles of the feet now, and I'd love you to as well. As you press down into the soles of the feet, coil your tail under, so that now quite deeply connected down through the low back. And with that coiling under, lift your tail a little, but keep the connection of the rest of your body to the floor. A lifting of your pelvic floor happening now. A really small lift of the pelvis. And then let's lower that back down on the inhale. We're going to take that a couple more times. So on your exhale, squeeze it through your belly, coiling your tail under, lifting your pelvic floor, and there's a little lift of your pelvis off the ground, but you're still really deeply connected through the back. And as you inhale, soften it back down again. Yeah, creating a bit of heat, low down in our body, right? As you exhale, squeeze, coil your tail under, lift a little. And as you inhale, lower back down. Should we make that a little bigger? As you exhale, coil your pelvis up, coil a little bit higher, not all the way up just yet, just halfway up your back. And then as you exhale, lower back down, getting a really great stretch. As you inhale, lower back down. Yeah. As you exhale, coiling under, feeling your tail lift under, slowly lifting up. And as you inhale, lower back down. One more time, we're going to exhale, coiling our tail under, engaging our pelvic floor, lifting. That's it. Right up to maybe the middle of your back and then lower back down. We're going to take this in fullness now. Well, that feels pretty full. We're going to exhale and we're going to coil everything up. We're going to lift our hips towards the ceiling and then we're going to stay here. We're going to pause with most of the weight now down into the soles of the feet, across the shoulders, through the back of the head. Yeah, nice contraction down and through the sacroiliac joint, through the back of the thighs. Maybe you can lift a little higher. This is that pose where people quite like to draw their shoulder blades a little closer underneath them. You're welcome to do that if you want. You stay here for one more breath and that really powerful lift. And then on the inhale, we're going to lower back down again. Let's stay here for a breath. Don't squeeze those knees towards your belly just yet. Yeah, let's let that all kind of soften away. How's that fire in your body? Is it lifted back up again? We're going to take that movement again. So pressing down into the soles of the feet. That's your first action. As you press down into the soles of the feet, maybe you feel your tail pulling under. Yeah, maybe you feel your spine start to lift off the ground as you start to lift your hips. Breathing fully and smoothly as you lift your hips towards the ceiling and find that space along the front of your legs, along the front of your knees. If your knees don't feel okay, don't take it or wiggle your feet a little further away, right? Noticing how your breath affects this pose. Noticing if you have a little more space to lift. And noticing the places that feel good. There's some pleasure to be found in this pose. Yeah, there are some places that feel good. There are some places of joy. Be there with them. And then let's soften back down towards the floor, all the way back down. Remember, we're not squeezing knees towards belly just yet. We're staying here for a breath. Right, now let's squeeze those knees towards the belly because it just feels like the natural action that I want to take at least. We're going to give them a squeeze. We're going to hug them nice and close. Now you might be able to wrap your arms right around them, but the shape of your body might not allow that and you're just holding on to your knees. Noticing your breath. I did a wonderful practice yesterday with my two little boys where they did a recording with me because I'd asked them to do one for a video I needed to post. And in it, I asked them to give themselves a mark out of 10. And of course, both of them gave themselves a 10 out of 10. Right? And the reason they gave themselves a 10 out of 10, really, is because as children, all of societal expectations haven't been placed on us yet and we understand that we're perfect. And so I want you to remember that now. I want you to remember that you're perfect. You are a perfect version of you. You are the only version of you. You're just as you need to be. And when we come from that place of knowing that we are all good, that we are abundant, We come from a place of power, of strength, of softness, and of acceptance as well. What better place is there to come from? Now from here, we're going to give a little stretch down the back of our legs, right? But we're going to stay lying on our backs for that. So we're going to pop the right foot down on the ground. So we're going to have the sole of the right foot down on the ground. We're going to take hold of our left big toe. Now, if you can't take hold of your left big toe, you're going to remember that you're perfect the way you are. You come from a place of abundance, and you're going to take hold of the back of your left knee. And we're going to play around with extending that leg out, maybe gliding our hands down the back of the leg, remembering if you don't have one now that a dressing gown or some kind of strap is always really nice for your practice to extend your legs or to extend your arms. The other thing that can be really good if you feel a bit of tension down the back of your leg is to now come over and rest both of your legs up a wall with your bottom as close to the wall as you can have it, softening your low back down to the floor. And then when I switch sides, you're just going to stay there with both legs extended up the wall, having a stretch down both of your legs. Right, so the amount of time it takes you to get there is okay, because we have that time as we switch between the legs. And just like you did at the beginning of the practice, noticing where is it that you feel the tension. As parts of my leg have kind of loosened up a little and been strengthened, I can now feel a little bit of tension down the back of my heel that I couldn't feel before. So really deeply conscious, noticing the parts of your body where maybe you can find a little bit of tension, but also noticing that it feels good. And if it doesn't feel good, then don't do it. It can feel challenging, but it can also feel really good. So find that point of pleasure and joy. Now, if your legs are up the wall, you're going to stay right there, yeah? Otherwise, we're going to pop the sole of that left foot down on the ground. We're going to reach down and we're going to take hold of our big toe or the back of our right leg. And we're going to play around with what it is to extend the right leg. Now, I take hold of my big toe because I know that I can with that extension. But if I knew that I couldn't, then I know that that would tempt me to really push and I could create some pain there. So if you know or you're not sure, just take hold of the back of your leg because remember you are abundant, you're just as you need to be. You're the perfect version of you. You're just what a you should be. And so enjoy the space that you occupy within your body. Appreciate this body. Give it a bit of love. And just explore where the tension is through this side. If like me, you're holding onto your toes, you have the ability to give each of your toes a little squeeze and pull. If you're holding onto the back of your leg, you can give it a little squeeze and a massage. If your legs are up the wall, then you didn't have to swap, right? There are benefits to every position you take. And so find those good things. Don't focus too much on what's not okay. See what is. That's not to say that you're not aware of what's not. We need to understand when we've gone a little too far or what needs changing. But we don't need to spend all of our energy staring at it. Because there is so much good, so much pleasure. Yeah, let's release that leg back down to the floor. Hey, we're going to take a shoulder stand. If shoulder stand is not a pose that you take, then I'm going to show you a modification to that. Right? Now, what you can do in shoulder stand to minimize the amount of pressure through the back of your neck, although I always find it a bit of a challenging position to get into, is you can rest your shoulders on a blanket. And then you can shoulder stand from there. Right? Now, as I said, I find that position really hard to get into, but it is a modification that is offered. I prefer to just take my shoulder stand with my knees towards my belly and then drawing my knees towards me and lifting. But if shoulder stand is not a pose that you're taking at the moment, And you can sit close to your wall. I know I'm being graceful as a gazelle when I come out of those poses, so excuse me. And we can lie down with our feet up the wall. Now, some of you are already here, right? We're going to bend our knees, soles of the feet rest down on the ground, and then you might be able to lift your hips. Notice your breath. This pose creates this really beautiful pressure between your shoulders. Hopefully not too much down through the back of your head. Remember that option of having the blanket underneath you that I don't take, but you can? Now there's that option. Now with this, you might be able to walk your feet one at a time away from the wall, or it might feel way more supportive to keep them here. So whichever shoulder stand you've chosen to take, just notice how you're feeling in it, because you can come out of it whenever you're ready. And when you do, come out way more gracefully than I did. And then just rest with the soles of your feet down on the floor and the knees bent for a little while. And no sudden changes from that pose. Now, what are you noticing here? Are you noticing that the pressure of blood builds up in your face and then starts to ease as your heart slows down a little? Are you noticing that it feels like there's this fullness across the top of your lungs? Or are you noticing that gravity means that the blood flows down a little more easily from your toes? From here, when you're ready, we're going to glide our legs quite close to our face as we're just in this shoulder stand, and roll our spine back down towards the floor. If your feet are up against the ceiling, you're going to roll over onto your side, press away, and come on down to lie on your mat with the soles of your feet down on the floor. What a wonderful way to seal down onto the mat. Now from here, gosh, I'm really channeling my 5-year-old today, aren't I? Using my toes as fingers and curling myself out of poses. I've obviously been spending a lot of time with them. From here, if you want, you can have your rolled up blanket underneath the back of the knees. You can rest your knees down beside you, and we're not going to counter that shoulder stand in any really strong way. Instead, we're just going to let everything settle. Right. And then we're just going to lift our gaze towards the back of our mat. And then we're going to tuck our chin again and feel the length down the back of our neck. Close your eyes. Just stay here in this quiet space of stillness, recognizing the way that your breath flows through your body. And feeling the rise and fall of your body. Noticing the way that you're connected to the floor. And just release a little more down towards the ground. Join me in a big inhale through the nose. And a sigh out through the mouth. As you release a little more completely. If you like, take another 1 or 2 of those. Again, find the length down the back of your neck, the pressure of your back down on the ground, between your shoulders. Make space across the front of your shoulders. Let go. Relax all of the muscles of your body. Feel that flowing release as it rolls from your fingers and your toes and the crown of your head inwards towards the very center of you. As all of the muscles soften as it rolls inwards. as they release and relax, providing you with an even greater connection to the earth, both in this physical sense and in a spiritual sense as well. Finding that deeper connection, understanding that you are nature. As nature, you belong right here, and you are just as you are meant to be. Know that everything is unfolding as it should. Let go, soften, relax, surrender to Shavasana. Notice that you can see little specks of light on your eyelids, and that there are sounds that you can hear and be aware of. And maybe with a little stretch, you roll over onto your side. And you allow yourself a little bit of time here, supporting your head with your arms, moving this release down towards the floor in this different pose, in this different shape. And then find a way to press yourself up to seated with support. Find yourself in a seated pose that works best for you. And we're going to end, when you're ready, with another one of those big sighs, that big inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Move your arms with that movement if you want. Just stay still for your arms when you're ready. Feels good, right? Let's take another one. One more. Lovely to have you share your practice with me today. Namaste.